My name's Ryan. I also go by MachinimaRealm, and I'm here with a bunch of representatives from the Relaunch team. We're going to start off with some introductions. The first person we want to introduce is extremely lovely, extremely talented Mike Lehman.
Hi. I'm Mike Moreno. I'm a concept artist at Riot. I go by Iron Stylus.
I know that guy.
Slow down. So concept is responsible for exploring like all the potential ideas of a character, champion, relaunch skin, whatever. And then after that exploration is complete, then we're able to create like a nice final drawing rendering to give to the 3D guys, like Josh here, in order to inform how they create that model. Yeah, hand it over.
Hey guys, my name is Joshua Singh. I'm also known as Grumpy Monkey on the forums.
The people applause.
It's okay. But I'm representing the 3D team, and basically my team is responsible for taking these concepts that Iron Stylus and the crew make and implementing them into in-game models with textures and animations. I don't do the animations, but I work very closely with the animators to make sure that there's no gating errors, etc., etc. So, yeah, technical speak.
Hi everyone, I'm Randy Beagle. I go by Riot Entropy on the forums. I'm the Relaunch team's writer, and I help with updating the champion's thematic consistency. So I try to make sure that they really deliver on the fantasy that they're trying to either empower or subvert through their personality, story, voiceover, and try to integrate them with the world and the other characters within it.
One thing, I think, looking at your picture, I think you're the most metal guy on the Relaunch team by far. Like Mordecai's a little shit going on here. So.
Ironically, I'm terrible with Mordecai.
Hi everyone, Corey Dearborn, and now it's known as Kikira. I work on the Relaunch team as a QA analyst. Obviously, first and foremost, we make sure that everything that these awesome guys make goes out as bug-free as possible. But also make sure that like live design and concept are in cahoots with each other, and that all those awesome ideas that everyone's putting on the forums, that everyone also reads, is just always in the forefront of our feedback, our meetings, and everything like that.
Hi everyone, my name's Katie, and my fancy internet name is Riot Tea Time. I'm a 2D artist at Riot Games, and I'm here representing the Splash team. What the Splash team is currently doing is updating all the old, outdated art. I know some of you probably know what I'm talking about, Shaco. With like new fancy art, we want to represent all the awesome changes that these guys are making to like the splash art and how we like present our champions to you guys.
Hey everybody, my name is Ryan Scott. Nerf Master Sucktown is probably. I'm here to represent the game design team. Game design is responsible for all of the gameplay changes, whether it's something as small as balance tweaks and numbers, or something as big as a full rework or a kit relaunch. And so we want to make sure that the gameplay, you don't just want to go increase the art of a champion who has bad gameplay. That's not very cool. So we want to make sure that that's up to the level of the new character as well. Cool, thanks guys. So really quickly, we want to go through a little bit of what is the Relaunch team and what are we trying to do? What are our goals here, right? The first one we have up here is visual fidelity and stylistic consistency, which to me sounds like a bunch of artist talk. So I'm going to let artists talk about artist talk stuff.
Yeah, we're all the way over here. Artist talk. When we talk about mainly visual consistency on the concept side, that means we want to make things look like they're all in the same world. So like, and also that the theme fits the character we're making or remaking. So a good example is like Sejuani. We wanted to make sure that, hey, the fact that she was wearing a metal bikini at the time didn't quite fit the fact that she was a barbarian lady from the Frozen Tundra. So we wanted to make sure that all of those things make sense in the world.
So furthermore, there's stylistic consistency, and then we're talking about artistic fidelity. So one of the more unofficial names for Team Relaunch is the Pizza Feed Annihilation Squad. We really want to go in there and just get rid of all those pizza feet. So when we say fidelity, we're talking about something that looks really good up close, and something that looks really good from far away for readability. And we're talking about just better craftsmanship all over, better textures, better poly counts, more efficient poly counts, better deformations, all that stuff. Bring the pretty, you know, and we're really trying to make the champions fit in with some of the newer champions like Lucian, Aatrox, etc. And at the same time, we're also helping push the envelope to the champion and skins team, like giving them some stylistic cues as for where to go next.
So the second thing that we also look at is trying to bring in the story of the character to the forefront. And a lot of older champions, you'll know, have very thin VO scripts. So as awesome as it is to spam your skills are inferior, we thought that there might be a little more to Master Yi that we wanted to communicate. So obviously, really expanding and delivering on good voiceover is such a visceral way to connect with the character. So that takes a lot of the focus of the team, but also we enhance the story in ways and make sure that the story still is in line with the updates that we've made to the visual fidelity and any changes in the kit, so they all are in line.
Our third goal is that we make sure that the visuals and gameplay match each other. We want to make sure that a heal looks like a heal, a stun looks like a stun, and
laser looks like a laser.
I wouldn't go that far. But like an ultimate looks like a really awesome ultimate, like Annie's Tibbers now looks like.
Oh. I got caught up in the cheering. Everybody was so stoked about Annie. And then gameplay, counterplay, and viability. Just to make sure that not only the gameplay is good, but we also focus on the things we care about at Riot. Not only balance, which speaks to viability and the actual ability to make this thing competitively balanced over the long term, but also counterplay. We don't want to add a bunch of champions who are really fun to play and just make the game worse. They take the game as cost for them, you know what I mean? So we want to make sure that not only they're balanced, but they're balanceable, and that they also offer more fun for people who are playing against it, as well as the people who are playing. For example, Mike. Okay, we want to go over a couple of quick definitions here. You might have heard relaunch, rework, visual updates, stuff like that. We want to kind of go through and describe what those things broadly mean really quickly, so we're all on the same page about what we're talking about when we get to the question and answer. A relaunch is really a total reboot to the whole champion. Anything goes. This will usually include art, but also include story, gameplay, thematics, anything like that. This is where we really have to go in there with a hammer and just really get to work on it, because there's something fundamentally not holding everything together. A good example of this was Sejuani. I think Mike brought up a couple of good examples of the things we did there. Other ones have been, that we've hinted at, have been like some of the conversations we've been having about Scion on the forums. You know, that guy might be a little bit of a mess. So you gotta do some heavier work on these types of champions. A visual update, on the other hand, is an art-only update with, if we have any gameplay, it's literally just like a balance change or just to smooth something out. This is something where it's just like, hey, this character's cool, people are getting it, it's good for the game, it's healthy, but it's got pizza feet, or it's just really out of date, or something like that. So, you know, a good example of this is like something like Soraka, right, where we just kind of updated the model but didn't change a lot of other things. Although, now that I think about that example, the Soraka thing, but yeah, anyway, that's what we did there. A rework is on the other side of the coin, more of a kit-focused update to the champion. This is where we really need to get in there on the gameplay, even though the character's cool, has a cool fantasy, art's pretty good, story's good, and really just make sure it's not breaking the game if it's powerful, make sure we can actually go deliver on a fun fantasy there, make sure that it's deep, clear, engaging, things like that. A good example of this was Evelyn and Twitch. Back in the stealth rework, we just changed the kits, but we didn't change a whole lot else. And then, just because we want to make sure this is really confusing, there's a visual update and rework category. This is an art and kit update, so everything can shift on kind of the functional front, but we're keeping the identity of the champion the same. We really don't change up the story or the place in the world. An example of this is kind of a previous Katarina relaunch. So now that we're through that, this is a little thing showing you all the things that go into a relaunch in really broad terms. As you can see, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of pieces of this pie. We're only a small representation of this team. It just kind of goes to show that in a lot of ways, doing a relaunch is one of the more like difficult and kind of like intensive pieces of content we do by bringing. Sorry, Katie. bringing all these people together to kind of make a single thing. So, you know, you have all the guys here, you have animations, visual effects, sound design, player research, like figuring out what players do find valuable for it and testing it against our own assumptions, lots of things like that. So, the last thing I really want to go into until we kind of get into the question and answer thing is there's a little bit of a history lesson in here. Here's all the relaunches we've done to date from the very first to the very last. This kind of started as a labor of love. And I know, I think, Josh, I think you worked a little on Kale or Gangplank or Soraka and all those early guys.
Yeah, how it kind of started out was, so I was currently, I think I was working on Nami at the time. And it was one of those things where we just sort of like, we really wanted, we had some extra time, and I was, you know, you just kind of go in there, you start reworking stuff, you start making things better, you say, hey, I can make this better. So we went ahead and we did that to, the one I first did was actually Ashe. So I worked on Ashe, then Katarina, and then I really got my hands dirty with Soraka. And that's when we sort of saw this thing as something quite valuable. When we released Soraka, the response was always good, but when we did Soraka, like the fan response was amazing, that we kind of looked at it and said, hey, maybe we should make this a thing, and like actually devote actual production time to this. And so yeah, I mean that was almost like a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we have the whole relaunch team that's focused on doing this, partially based on the response we got from those kind of early labors of love projects, like, hey, we should probably pour a lot more kind of effort and resources into making sure that we can get through this big backlog of champions. We want to make sure we bring up to par to our early stuff.